You're getting into the pooper scooper industry, but you're not sure if you want to bring on a business partner, if you want to go handle all the tasks on your own, or maybe you're a more established company and you have an opportunity to bring in a partner that offers something of value, whether that's capital, whether it's some experience, or whether it's actual some hands-on labor to propel your company to the next level. It could be a good choice or it could be a really bad choice depending on your circumstance. So I'm going to walk you through my experience with business partners. I've had partners in multiple companies now, many of them successful, a few of them not successful, and I'm going to tell you what makes a good partnership and kind of give you some advice from my own personal experience. So let's get into it, guys. For those who don't know, my name is William. I'm the president of a 7-figure pooper scooper business in the Pacific Northwest and the founder of the Poop Scoop Millionaire community on School. In this video, we're talking all about business partnerships, whether you're a new business just getting into the industry and you want to bring on a partner, or maybe you're an established company and you want to bring in somebody that has a different skill set, maybe some capital, maybe they can actually work within the business to help you grow it a little bit more. There are a lot of reasons why you might want to bring on a business partner. Me personally, I've had 3 really successful business partnerships in the last couple of years. One with my electrical company, with the garage door company, and then with Poop Scoop, our pet waste removal company. And typically the way I've set them up is I'll partner with somebody that's an operator. I'll handle all the marketing. I'll handle all the lead gen. I'll handle setting up all the systems, getting the bank accounts, all that stuff going. And the person I partner with, their job is to handle the operations and actually deal with the widget of that business, whether that's electrical or plumbing or garage door or Poop Scoop or whatever that might be. And that's been a really successful model for us. I will say one big downside of a partnership is that you'll typically have to make twice as much money to make however much you would by yourself, because you're having to split the pie between more people. But typically, if you can set this up correctly, you're gonna have a much bigger pie. So let's get into kind of some of the ins and outs of a good partnership. So probably the most important thing when it comes to choosing a business partner or not choosing a business partner is really looking at what that individual brings to the table as far as value. And when I'm looking at value, I'm typically looking at 3 main pillars. Number 1, does that person have significant capital that I might not have? They can invest in the business, they could buy trucks, they could buy equipment, they could help get a good brand and a good website. Does that person have significant time? Maybe they don't have a lot of money, maybe they don't have a lot of skills, but they can go out and actually work in the business, start generating revenue, putting in some sweat equity, and maybe you don't have a lot of time. Or thirdly, do they have a skill set that you don't have, that the business really needs, and you might not be able to afford to get that high of a quality person without partnering with them? So in our case, the businesses I work in, they had a hard time finding somebody that was good at marketing and actually generating leads. So I was able to come in with that skill set, even though it might not have taken a lot of money, not a lot of time. I was still able to get a significant ownership percentage of some of these businesses just because of the skill set that I brought into those companies. So it's really important to make sure that you are actually getting something of value when you are getting a business partner. You guys are both bringing the same thing to the table. One of you is redundant and not necessary to help the business grow faster. You're going to be better off just cutting out that redundancy right off the bat, because otherwise you're going to have to grow the business quite a bit bigger to make the same amount of take-home money as if you were to just do it yourself. The other thing I will say about this is, if you can help it, try not to go into business with friends and family. I know sometimes it's easy, but a lot of times your friends or your family, you've been around them your whole life and you guys are pretty similar. You have similar skill sets, you're in a similar economic status. You're going to kind of have that redundancy that I talked about a little bit earlier in the video. And if you have that redundancy, I mean, it's not going to do you guys very much good, and you're going to be better off going in on your own in many cases. The next consideration when you are trying to determine if you want to bring on a business partner or not is going to be how you cover your assets CYA, because there are a lot of things that can happen in business. Everybody goes into things with the best intentions usually, which is something that you also want to look out for. You want to make sure you're doing business with somebody that has good ethics, they have good moral standing, they have high integrity. Because if they don't, you might get bit on the back end. So that's another reason why it's so important to cover your assets and have a good operating agreement. Because as I mentioned, anything can happen. You're pretty much married to these people that you're in business with. Like, you might be more financially tied to them than your spouse in some cases, depending on how you have things set up. So it's really important that you can trust the person you're doing business with, that you have a good operating agreement. Some things that you're going to want to have covered in your operating agreement. What happens if somebody gets hit by a bus and they die? What's going to happen to the equity of the business? What happens if somebody gets disabled and they're not able to fulfill the duties of your operating agreement? What happens if somebody goes to jail? What happens if somebody becomes addicted to drugs? What happens if somebody just becomes disinterested in the business and they stop showing up all of a sudden, but they own half the business? Like, how are you going to handle these situations? And if you talk to a good attorney, they're going to be able to walk you through kind of a lot of these situations and how to avoid some major pitfalls. You can get things like buy-sell insurance. So if somebody dies or something happens to them, you actually have money to buy them out. There's a couple other options that you could go through, but it's really important to make sure that you have these outlined from day one, just so everybody knows what to expect and so everybody is on the same page. So I'm going to cover some of the major benefits of having a business partner. There are quite a few benefits, but as I mentioned, you really need to make sure you become business partners with the right person if you're going to do it at all. So I'd say probably one of the biggest benefit to having a business partner is the extra motivation. If you're doing work by yourself and you're just grinding day after day after day, sometimes it's easy to let certain tasks slip by. But if you have a business partner, you're going to hold each other accountable because you both are in it to make money, drive the business forward, grow the business, and really make an impact. So you're going to have that built-in accountability where you have somebody else that sees the work you're doing, they see the work you're not doing. When you're by yourself, you don't really have anybody looking over your shoulder other than the actual performance of your business. And for some people, that's not enough motivation to really get going. The next thing is if you have a business partner, you will have extra resources. So both Levi and I have been fairly successful in our lives. So we do have significant assets, significant resources that if we needed to, we could deploy back into the business. We also have a diverse network. Levi knows people that I don't know. I know people that he doesn't know. And if we need to bring in talent or we need to have a conversation with somebody, we need to fill a job role, we have our own networks that we can bring back into the business and really help expand it when we get into some crunch times with certain tasks. And the other thing too is we've also both been developing our skill sets, whether that's leadership, marketing, hiring. We're basically able to learn at twice the rate as a single person, and it's been a total game changer for our business. Next thing is going to be better decision making as well. A lot of times if you have an idea by yourself and you don't have anybody to kind of work through it, sometimes you could make some pretty silly mistakes because something sounds totally genius in your head, but when you go out to deploy it in the real world, it might not work exactly the way that you think it would. So if you have somebody to bounce ideas off of back and forth, somebody that's just as invested in the business as you, it's really going to help flush out a lot of those bad ideas and ensure that you're making more right decisions with your business. Kind of the last thing here I got on my list is if you have a business partner, it's a lot easier to have a better work-life balance. You have somebody that can cover for you if you're gone. You can cover for them if they're gone. I think Levi went to Thailand for like 3 weeks. He didn't even have to worry about it. If anything came up, I was able to handle it. So those are some of the big benefits I would say when it comes to having a business partner. I'm sure there's a lot more, but there are also some drawbacks. You have that increased risk if you have a business partner that doesn't know what they're doing, if they're not able to meet their responsibilities, if they're bad with money. There's a lot of things that can come up and kind of hinder that partnership, hinder the business, and really make your life extremely painful. I've gone through a couple partnerships like that where things didn't end great, but thankfully the businesses that did work out, one so big that it didn't even matter. So it's just something that you need to look out for. And it really comes down to, I would say, the integrity of the person is going to be the most important thing. So looking back at it, would I choose to have a business partner again if I were to start Swoop Scoop all over again all those years ago? And my answer for this particular business is yes. I did not have time to actually go and scoop in the business. I had the capital, I had the skills that I was able to help grow it really quickly with Levi's time. And if we didn't have that partnership, we probably wouldn't have started the company in the first place just because I didn't have the time to get into the business. Another thing that can be just as good as a business partner is something I actually made a full YouTube video about. If you guys haven't watched it, you definitely don't want to miss it. And that is about building business automations. If you're able to automate a lot of tasks, sometimes it could do the work of multiple employees. It could save you thousands of dollars and really help accelerate the growth of your business. So I have a list here. I'll include it up here. I'll link it down in the description of my favorite business automations for dog waste removal companies. Check it out. Hope it helps. And I hope you guys have a great day and happy scooping.